Hello, my name is Alex Halavey, and this is a quick introduction to a course that I'm teaching this spring at Arizona State University. It's an I-course, that is, it's online, and the name of the course is Online Sex. This is the first time I've taught the course here at Arizona State. I did teach a similar course at SUNY Buffalo about 5 years ago now, both online and in person. About 1,000 people took that course all in all over a period of a year. And it got written up in time. It was kind of an unusual course at the time, and no doubt it's a little bit of an unusual course here at ASU too. So I wanted to give you a quick introduction to what the course is about, what we might be talking about, and the kinds of things you might be doing in the course to help you decide whether you want to take it or not. So the course is like the earlier one. The earlier one was called Cyberporn in Society. The course is kind of takes on topics of pornography, for sure. That online sex name kind of implies that, right? But I do want to get into some other sexual behaviors online. So certainly things like sharing photos or online sex chat, some of those kinds of things that are more directly related to interpersonal sexual behaviors online. And so that's one of the ways that it's changing. It's not entirely focused on sort of pornography as an industry, which was a big part of the first course. It takes a little bit of a broader look at the ways in which pornography and sexual activity intersects with technologies, especially network technologies and social media and those kinds of things. Also, this is different because I want to take, as much as possible, a more global perspective. So we talk a lot about the intersection of sex and online behaviors. Often this is kind of couched as moral panic, right? How children are being influenced by various online sexual behaviors on social media and using their phones or whatever else. So a lot of that is part of our discussion here in the United States. But the internet has changed the way people talk about and consider sex pretty much around the world. And so it's an interesting space in which national cultures and mores are being affected by this very globalizing networked media technology. And so I think that's a particularly interesting kind of way to get into some of these issues. Basically, we're trying to get beyond this. Is porn good? Is it bad? Is it good or is it evil? Kind of get beyond those binaries and talk about the ways in which it influences society, and society can be viewed through online sex in some way. So it's kind of a neat little window for understanding some cultural issues, not just in our own culture, but across cultures. And so we get a view at some of these classic questions about, does media affect our behavior? What are the tensions between individual rights and kind of an open right to expression? So it really kind of gets at some of our major issues in kind of this particular way. Yes, it's titillating by the nature of it because we're not used to talking about sex, but it also kind of gets at some of these things in a way that we might not otherwise see them. So that's why I think it's particularly interesting. It gives us a new perspective on these kinds of things and a new kind of window on global culture. So what kinds of things will you be doing? Well, the course is organized around, because it's online, is organized around short lectures, kind of like this, although hopefully better produced, that are just a few minutes long. I think I'm going to end up maxing out at about 15 minutes for each of these. A whole bunch of them that you'll kind of be viewing on a weekly basis, as well as readings. I'm trying to keep the readings down to less than 50 pages, but it's a sophomore level course, or sorry, a junior level course, a 300 level course, and so there's some expectations that you'll be doing some reading of the social literature. And so there are a number of sort of readers. I don't think traditional textbooks about this, but there are some readers that deal with sex and pornography online, and a new academic journal on the topic of online sex. But rather than giving you a single thing, I'm actually selecting from a number of places. In fact, I wrote a textbook called Cyberporn in Society, but that's actually old enough at this point that I'm not going to ask you to read that. So I'll have a set of readings that you'll be doing on a weekly basis, as well as these video lectures that are going to be fairly brief. In terms of your evaluation, that is whether you're learning the things that I hope that you will learn, there's a couple of ways that we're going to do that. The very traditional way is that there are two exams, a midterm exam and a final exam. You'll have 24 hours to complete them, kind of a mix of things. However, I'm also going to give you the opportunity to, and I hope you will take this opportunity to engage more more directly in some of the material. And so that includes things like taking quizzes for the readings, online quizzes, and you can take them as many times as you need to pass them, but just kind of a way to check to make sure you're getting out the stuff out of the readings I hope you're getting out of them. It includes things like engaging in our online discussion in text, and also several times during the semester I'm going to ask you to meet in small groups in a Google Chat or similar online video environment. So you need to have a camera and microphone like this. If you have a modern laptop, you probably already have that, to discuss some of these issues. So if you do engage thoroughly in those things, you actually can waive one of the exams and replace it with an A. So if, for example, you complete all the quizzes before the deadlines, you engage consistently, that's on a weekly basis, in the discussions, and you engage in each of our video small group video discussions, that basically you can decide not to take one of the exams, like the final exam. If you've done that throughout, you can kind of skip the final exam. Or if you've done not as well as you might have liked on one of the exams, you can replace it with your participation grade. So it kind of gives you a bit of flexibility. You can either decide to take the exams and basically have very little interaction with your classmates, or with me for that matter, except for watching the videos and doing the readings. Or if you want to engage more thoroughly, which I hope you will, you have the opportunity of skipping one of those exams, because I think that demonstrates your mastery of the material as well as an exam will. And frankly, I think it's a better way to learn, but I want to give you that flexibility. If you just want, I just want to take the exams and get out of here, then more power to you. Although I do hope you'll take the more participatory route. So why should you take the course? If you think that it's an interesting topic and an interesting way of getting at it, then this is a good way to understand that. If you're interested in issues of sexuality more broadly, or of pornography and online pornography in particular and its effects, if you are interested in a kind of a unique way at getting at some global perspective, I think it'll be a good course. I've been told that my courses are interesting and that I'm not a horribly boring lecturer, although I'm not thrilling either. I guess we'll get to that piece next. Why shouldn't you take the course? For some reason, about 10% of the people who signed up for the course in Buffalo really thought that we were just going to watch porn for 15 weeks. And you can do that on your own time. It's not what we're going to be doing here. It's a social science course. We're going to be looking at kind of the social impacts of these things. And so it's not, it is on a salacious topic, I'll admit that, but it's a very serious course. So if you think it's just a kind of an easy course to get through, or something to round out your senior year or something without doing a lot of work, this is probably not the course for you. I don't think it's any harder than any other 300 level course, but it's not easier. That also goes for it being online. Some people expect online courses to automatically be easier. I don't find that to be the case, and I certainly don't plan for that to be the case in my online courses. So that's probably a good reason not to take it. If you have religious or other moral convictions that would, on the other hand, that would keep you from viewing erotic or pornographic materials, this is probably not the course for you. I treat issues of pornography in some of my other courses of online material, and in those cases, if people have strong moral or religious objections to kind of talking about or thinking about issues of sexuality or pornography, then I let them kind of not, I sometimes show videos and that sort of thing. I let them exclude themselves from the class during that week. That's fine. This course is about that stuff, so if you have those objections, you shouldn't take the course. That doesn't mean that if you're anti-porn or in some other way you shouldn't take it. It's just that if those values mean that you cannot discuss openly things like sex and pornography, or that you literally cannot view any kind of pornography, you shouldn't take this course. I will, in the lectures, for example, not put, you're not going to be watching this at 8 a.m. and see something that you really don't want to see at 8 a.m. I'm going to avoid as much as possible showing you this stuff or forcing you to see it in the lectures, unless I need to. And there are some cases where I'm not going to like talk my way around things. If we're going to see something, we'll see it. And so you should, of course, be 18 years old, which I'm guessing all of you are. And if you're not, you shouldn't be in the course. But more than that, you should be willing to engage on your own in some of these things. I'm going to ask you to go and explore some of this stuff. And so if that makes you uncomfortable, or if things like alternate ways of looking at sexuality or paraphilias, kind of strange ideas around sex is something that you're uncomfortable with. I mean, we're all a little uncomfortable with it, right? That's part of our social environment. But if it's something you really don't think you could discuss openly, this probably isn't the course for you. The other piece of this is that a large number of both men and women have been victims of sexual violence. And that is a deeply unfortunate thing. And I certainly don't want to exclude anyone that has been a victim of sexual violence. But I do want you to come in with a very clear awareness that we are going to be talking about things like rape and the sex trade and sex work and child sexual molestation. Some of these topics that will open wounds may open wounds if you have them. And so I want, or trigger a re-experience of some of those victimizations. And so I want you to come in with your eyes wide open about this course. If you are taking it, that it may be a very traumatic thing to have to discuss if you have been a victim of sexual violence. And so be aware of that. And frankly, my recommendation would be, even if you have an interest in this, given the emotional potential, that you may want to avoid the course. So again, I want to be very welcoming. I don't want to exclude people just because they've been a victim of sexual violence, especially since so many, especially women, but women and men, have been victims of sexual violence. So I certainly don't want to exclude you. On the other hand, I don't want any of our discussions to put undue emotional stress on you. So those are the large caveats around this course. I guess one other caveat is I do strange stuff, as you probably can see from the layout of the course and the topic. So you need to come into it being willing to engage in a slightly not your usual course, I guess is what it is. All of those caveats in place, I hope you do take the course. Those who've taken it in the past got a lot out of it, and they enjoyed the course and they learned a lot. So I do hope you sign up for it, and I look forward to seeing you virtually in the spring if you do. Thanks very much.